Hello coaster lovers. The most overrated theme park that I visited is Busch Gardens Tampa. This is the best park in Florida for roller coasters, and one of them stands out above the rest, and it's the legendary Iron Gwazi. This is one of RMC's masterpieces, and I did get to ride this multiple times, and in this video, I'll give out an updated review. It's because the original was based off of one ride, and my opinion had changed about this coaster a lot. So let's begin this review with the history of Iron Gwazi. So before Iron Gwazi was even a thing, there was the original Gwazi. This was a set of GCI dueling wooden roller coasters. The dueling coasters opened to the public on June 18th, 1999, but during the 2011 season, the trains were switched from the old PTC trains to Millennium Flyers. But during the 2012 season, the Tiger side closed for good. Then on February 1st, 2015, the Lion side closed for good, and it was the end for Gwazi. Then it was standing but not operating for a couple years in 2018, and that is where RMC came in and gave the ride a whole makeover. It was supposed to open in 2020, but COVID hit. Then it was delayed 2 years later and officially opened to the public on March 11th, 2022. Now let's head into the presentation for Iron Gwazi. So as soon as you walk up to Iron Gwazi, it is a gigantic ride. The lift hill seems like it's over 300 feet, but in reality, it's only 206 feet. And then you go under this African-esque building and it will lead you into the queue. Then you have to wait for a while, or wait a little bit. It depends on the day you visit. And there is a quick queue option for this ride, but it only works once. So after the waiting, you get assigned a row, but the row assigner can accept row requests on some occasions. Most of the time, your wish is granted for the front or back. So after waiting a little extra due to stacking and horde operations, you enter the train, buckle your seatbelt, put on your lap bar and dispatch, and that will lead us into the ride experience. So you turn left out of the station and go over some straight track. Then you dip down to the left and aggressively turn to the right and climb up your 206-foot lift hill. And this lift hill is surprisingly steep. And if you look the opposite way, you can see Tampa from up there, and a little bit of St. Petersburg. You also get a good view of the park as well to your right. So you crest the top, and I remember one time, there were bees on the top of the lift hill. So you slow down and dramatically disengage from the lift hill and dive down 91 degrees. And this drop is amazing. It does last for a couple seconds, and those couple seconds are very memorable and thrilling. So you slightly bank to the right, and then snap back to the left and rise up into this enormous outer bank turn. And this element has so much ejector airtime, it is nuts. Then you bank to the left again and descend down to the ground, and then straighten out and gradually rise up again to the right, and you maneuver into another memorable element, the death roll. This thing has so much whip, and it's my favorite inversion ever, to be honest. Then you gradually rise up into a steep and snappy overbank, and this element pulls very high positive Gs. Then you gradually rise and bank to the left and immediately snap into the wave turn. The wave turn might be the best part of Iron Gwazi. The laterals are wild there. Then you straighten out and hop up and snap into the left and soar over a quick wave turn. That's probably the weakest part of the ride. It just doesn't have the same force as the other elements, but that lackluster wave turn makes up for it with the stall right after, and this 0G stall has really good hang time, but it does last very quickly though. Then you rotate to the right and maneuver a little off-axis hill. That airtime hill has great ejector. Then you gradually rise up to the right and soar over a double down. If you're in the back, this element is a little much. In the back of your shirt comes up a little bit on the second hill. Then you turn to the right and go over one final airtime hill, and this hill is a great way to end out your one-of-a-kind layout. Then you bank sharply to the left and do one final snap into the brakes, and that concludes your 4,075-foot long experience. Now I'm going to give my thoughts on the layout, and this layout is phenomenal. It packs in as much airtime as it can into nearly over 4,000 feet of track. The first drop is the best drop I've experienced, and the death roll is fantastic, the wave turn is fantastic, and the huge outer bank turn feels like it never ends. And there are some other great elements too, such as the snappy overbank, the stall, the final airtime hill. There's a lot of variety here. RMC has done it again. But now, I'm going to delve deep into my thoughts of Iron Gwazi, and there are so many reasons why this is my number one. Where do I even begin? The ride looks very daunting as soon as you walk up to it, but when you're on it, you're on cloud 9, and the elements are so whippy, and the pacing is probably the best paced coaster I've ridden. It's non-stop action-packed RMC goodness, and the airtime is unmatched. I slightly take this over Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. It's because that ride feels like it's going for a record, and it can be a little much for someone who is not prepared, but Iron Gwazi is pretty long as well. It's a solid duration of ride time. I just don't have enough good things to say about this ride. But now let's conclude this review with the final score. And for Iron Gwazi, of course it's getting a 10 out of 10. There are barely any flaws with this coaster. It's just the operations and continuous stacking. But besides that, Iron Gwazi will throw you around and surprise you in many ways. And I forgot to mention, but it's probably the most smoothest roller coaster you'll ever ride. And here's something funny. This coaster is smoother than the actual newest coaster at Busch Gardens, Phoenix Rising. I don't know how that happened. But anyway, go check out Iron Gwazi when you're in Florida. It's worth the drive and the price of admission. You will not be disappointed. So I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts of Iron Gwazi? And if you enjoyed my review of Iron Gwazi, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Our goal for 2025 is to hit about 700 subscribers until next year, and if you're considering supporting us, please do. It would actually make my day if you just click that little white button beneath the video. And if you're a YouTuber and want to collaborate with me, check out my Gmail in the description. There will be a new video coming soon in the next 5 days, so make sure to keep the adrenaline pumping, and thanks for watching.